Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. We're going to talk today about Mama June. I know, crazy, we're not covering Amber Portwood, but honestly, I needed a break where I wasn't just talking about her. Quick update though before we get started on Mama June. Yesterday's initial title has people all kinds of riled up, and there was a video put out basically saying that the title was inaccurate. It's caused a bunch of hubbub on Twitter. The information that I put in the title initially was not accurate because I was getting conflicting information from sources. I was able to verify with a source prior to going live that it wasn't a done deal in terms of her being fired, but that it had been decided. I got the same confirmation this morning from someone connected to executives at Viacom. So it is coming, you guys. I wasn't lying. The initial title and hyperlink on Twitter did get people confused. It was a mistake. Please forgive me. I don't do clickbait. Okay. Moving on, and let's please stop going after Leslie Batts. She does not deserve anyone attacking what she did. She came to me, got her information from me, so do not go after her. I also spoke to Yasmin this morning, and we got everything cleared up, and she promised to clear it up with all of you guys, so there's literally no need to be fighting about this anymore. Okay, so moving on. In Alabama, we have been covering Mama June. And she was arrested in March for a felony drug possession after her and her boyfriend, Gino Dokes, were pulled over due to a domestic violence altercation. Following the arrest, she was charged with a Class D felony possession of a controlled substance, i.e. crack cocaine. And Gino Dokes was charged with multiple counts, including domestic violence. And a no-contact order was placed between the two. Part of their bail in Alabama was that they were not supposed to leave the state, but obviously we know that Mama June and Gino left Alabama, went back to Georgia, sold their house, and then fled in an RV. So Mama June and Gino are literally on the lam, running from the law. Can you imagine being Mama June on the run? You're probably the most obvious person to find. Anyway, there was some confusion because her initial charges had not been yet indicted, and that indictment actually came down on August 29th. So she had been listed as, prior to the 29th of August, she wasn't showing up in Alabama for her court dates. And in fact, her attorney left the case and was dismissed. So at this time, her attorney was dismissed, but a bail bondsman who had years and years of experience in Alabama told me that she would not be considered failure to appear until after an indictment came down. And at that point, they could issue a statewide warrant for her arrest. And then if they still can't get her, it could move to a nationwide warrant. At this point, I could not find any warrant for her arrest, but on the 29th, a grand jury did indict her on a single count of drug possession, a Class D felony in the state of Alabama. So what does this mean for Mama June? It means that if convicted on this charge, she could face up to 5 years in prison, although it's extremely unlikely with a charge like this. A Class D felony has a lot of wiggle room in terms of sentencing, and according to the bail bondsman that I spoke to in Alabama, they said it's unlikely that if she doesn't have a history of drug possession charges or arrests, that she would serve jail time. She could very well be ordered to complete rehab or community service or whatever. However, if she continues to not show up at her court dates and misses her trial, for instance, that could make things a lot more complicated, and she could get a failure to appear, which could add additional charges, and it's a mess. But at this point, Mama June hasn't been seen in Alabama in a really long time, and she could be out. A warrant could be issued for her arrest if she continues to fail to appear. At this point, if she were convicted, she would likely get rehab, maybe some community service. if they were to decide to put her in jail, it's typical that people with these cases that would get around 2 years. And if they were to serve, it's usually in a community type facility, not an actual prison. So even if she's convicted, she probably won't go to jail. But it's still a felony, and that would make her a felon. So we're there on that. And as far as where she is, that nobody knows, because I can't find any information about where Mama June is, but it is clear that the family has cut her off. I shared with you on Instagram that the girls had been sort of discussing their sadness about their mother, and it's clear that they're continuing to deal with this because not only, I think it was yesterday, Pumpkin shared this on Instagram, and it said, "I'm slowly learning that even if I react, it won't change anything. It won't make people suddenly love and respect me. It won't magically change their minds. Sometimes it's better just to let things be, let people go, don't fight for closure, don't ask for explanations, don't change answers, and don't expect people to understand where you're coming from. I'm slowly learning that life is better lived when you don't center it on what's happening around you and center it on what's happening inside you instead. Work on yourself and your inner peace." And then she wrote, "There never read something more accurate." And then yesterday, Honey Boo Boo, or Alana, shared this. "You know what got you to do when life gets you down? You know what you got to do when life gets you down? Just keep swimming." So both the girls are not in contact with their mother. They have essentially cut her off since she has refused to get treatment for her addiction and continues to remain in a unhealthy relationship with Dino Dokes. Sadly, Alana is 14 years old, a freshman in high school, and now living with her sister, who is 19, married with a child. Her sister, Pumpkin, or Lauren, is really young to be taking on the responsibility of having a 14-year-old under her care, but I'm glad that they have each other at the same time. There isn't any word on whether or not any sort of resources have been offered to these girls to help them through this time. And I still am really frustrated that June, I guess we shouldn't really be expecting June to make any different decisions though, because this is the same woman that stayed in a very unhealthy marriage with Sugar Bear and also got back together with a man that was convicted of doing very inappropriate things to her daughter. And it was that rebound or renewal of her relationship with that man that landed her off the air with the Here Comes Honey Boo Boo show on TLC. So for now, we will see how everything plays out in court. I'm still waiting to see if we're going to start having like wanted posters of her. Can you imagine a wanted poster of her and Gino like on the run? It would be... These two are so easy to pick out in a crowd. Like, where could you hide if you were Mama June? Everyone in the world knows who you are, June. They've all seen you on TV. They've all seen your hot messness. They know what's going on. I don't know how you could even hide if you were her. Obviously, my biggest concern as a parent and as a mother is that Alana is getting support, and I can't imagine for her going into freshman year of high school and not having your mom for that kind of stuff. There is so much that happens in your teens where having a mom is so important to guide you through some of the really big decisions and all those tough feelings that you have. And sadly, she's going to have to navigate that with her sister, who's only 5 years older. A lot of you have asked about the other sister, the one that had cut June out after she got back together with the guy that hurt her when she was a child. I have not heard anything from her. As far as I know, she doesn't have a lot of contact with any of them. But at this point, I haven't seen anything like publicly from her, but she hasn't had a relationship with June in years, so I wouldn't expect to hear anything different from her at this point in time. So that's all I have for today. I will be back later. If you have any updates or anything coming, just let me know. I will, of course, keep you updated on all things Amber Portman as soon as I know more. and try to keep abreast of everything. We haven't done a Duggar video in a minute, and I do have some things I want to talk about with the Duggars and maybe some things with sister wives. So I'll be back in a little while, and if you have stories you want to cover me, make sure you follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/withoutacrystalball. You can also reach out to me on Instagram at withoutacrystalball or on Twitter at WOA Also, there's a lot of just parody accounts that are looking like me on Twitter. Unless it comes from my official account, don't like take stock in anything that says that looks like Without a Crystal Ball, other than me. All right, you guys, I'll be back later. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.